I'm talking now with research analyst Ada Akonobi. Good morning to you, Ada, and thank you for coming into the show this morning.
Good morning, Harriet.
So, you listened to me, going through those stock prices, and
Yes.
then looking at the Bloomberg Commodity Index is also down 0.55%. Crude oil prices declined about 0.94%, according to the data sent in by you folks at FDC, and oil prices are at $47.54 a barrel. It seems as if oversupply fears have continued.
Yes, oversupply fears have continued. And if you look at it, oil prices have been declining for the past 3 weeks now. I mean, it's been maintaining a negative trend. However, we know that Goldman Sachs came up with a report saying that oil prices might actually drop further because the excess crude stockpile is already spilling into the refined energy market. So we have distillates are actually higher, and distillates includes diesel and jet fuel. So this is actually really high, and this is happening currently because we are going into the autumn season, and generally this time of the year the demand for oil is relatively low. So this is what is pulling prices down. And again, we have the El Nino, the possible fear of El Nino coming into the countries, and this will affect. It will cause a milder winter in the US. So that means the demand for heating oil will decrease. So this is what's causing this.
So analysts are also expecting a sharp slowdown in global oil demand across the fourth quarter of the year to about 0.8 million barrels per day.
Exactly, because generally the fourth quarter demand for oil is low because we're going into autumn. So, and again, most oil refineries are going into maintenance season. So yeah, so demand for oil now will literally drop. However, most oil traders are believe that U.S. crude inventories will increase again this week, but we're waiting for figures to know that. And they're as well waiting for the Fed meeting and China's fifth plenum community policy meeting coming up to take direction for where oil prices will be heading for this week. So we're looking forward to that.
Okay, so let's leave oil commodities for a while. Let's talk about agri commodities, and that really affects us here in Nigeria as well. The price of corn has come down. Oh, well, it's looking a little bit better. It's up about 1.25% and selling at $3.84 a bushel.
Yes, most grain commodities are being affected by this El Nino weather conditions. Adverse weather conditions are affecting most planting regions, particularly the US, Ukraine, and Russia. So we have cold temperatures expected in Russia, and we have dryness expected in Ukraine and some part of the US. So this is affecting grain production in that region. And for soft commodities as well, cocoa and sugar, excess rain in Brazil, heavy rain in Brazil is looking to disrupt and slow down harvest and volume of cane crushing. So this is what is raising most of this agri commodities to high levels.
Yeah, so that also now explains why we see a 2.5% increase in the price of sugar. Sugar futures have actually maintained that upward trend.
Yes, exactly. It's been going up for a while now because most market experts believe that the sugar deficit is gradually easing out. So now they believe that there's not going to be as much sugar as they predicted in the past.
Also, with prices on the rise. So basically all the grains are looking pretty good. Let's bring it back home now. Let's take a look at those domestic prices that you folks always very kindly send in from FDC. Well, cement prices are not unchanged. The price of Gari is also not seriously unchanged. I remember the other day we talked about Ijebu Gari, and I'm wondering, there's partiality now. You folks are being partial. Why don't we have Ijebu Gari? We just have ordinary Gari selling at 6,000 naira for 50 kilograms.
No, I mean, we're tracking both Ijebu Gari and yellow Gari, but then the price difference between Ijebu Gari and yellow white Gari is not that much anyway. But we know that the yellow Gari doesn't last as long as Ijebu Gari because it's being processed or fried with oil. So most people prefer Ijebu Gari actually, but depends on what you're using the Gari for specifically. But however, Gari price is actually going up because this is end of the month and farmers tend to sell more and people are buying more, stocking up now because it's end of the month. However, next month, first week, second week, prices might drop down again. So it's like a trend. Then towards the end of the month, prices will pick up. Same for corn seeds. Corn seeds are actually going down now because this is a new season, and most buyers or most consumers prefer buying old corn because it has more starchy content compared to the new corn. So now prices of corn will be declining until it picks up.
So let's talk about flour and sugar. For sugar, is it affected by what's going on in the global markets as well?
I believe,
because we're seeing 50 kilogram of sugar selling at 8,500.
I believe that sugar and flour, I mean, we're tracking wheat flour specifically, and we know that these all have imported contents in them. So if sugar prices have been going up in the global commodity in the global commodity markets, and wheat prices have been fluctuating. However, we need to still factor the fact that we still have the forex restriction, and we have the weakened currency. So even if prices are lower, if you have to import it into Nigeria, we won't really make that much profit because of how weak our currency is as opposed to how strong the US dollar is. So I believe this is actually affecting refined sugar and wheat flour.
And so you're also anticipating that the price of a bag of rice will likely increase owing to high tariffs. We're seeing a 50 kilogram of rice. It's not specified if it's imported or local rice. So that's 11,000 naira.
Okay, that's imported rice. This is actually going up. We know that prices, from the beginning of the month, prices were about 9,000 naira per 50 kilo. But now, per 50 kg, but now prices are going up because of the high tariffs. So it seems like they're trying to discourage they're trying to discourage the import of rice, and this is beginning to factor into the price of rice. So we don't know how long this is going to go for. Until there's a specific plan, and probably they encourage more domestic farmers to produce more rice. However, we understand that Nigerians actually prefer long grain rice, which we don't really plant more of. We don't really plant much long grain rice. We actually import that. So we hope that we produce what we like.
Yes, but then you see there's this affinity now. A lot of people are beginning to enjoy ofada rice.
Yes.
Even though they're complaining that sometimes when you eat a little bit of stones, and that just discourages you from eating the rice as a whole. But it's more nutritious if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, I think ofada rice, after a while people get used to it. It's like new, so everyone's like, okay, I'm not sure, but after a while probably we'll have to get used to it.
Yes, it just has to grow on us.
Yes, exactly.
And then another thing that I think we should be excited about is that locally produced palm oil is expected to fall. Is that supposed to be good news, or is that supposed to be bad news?
It's supposed to be good news because we probably will have to buy palm oil at a more affordable rate now. But then we know that this is end of October. We are going into November and we're going into December. So prices will actually pick up again because festive season is coming.
Yes,
so what people do now is they probably want to stock up now, or even first week of November, so they can avoid the whole Christmas high prices. So what people do, I believe that from November, December, prices will start actually going up, probably by a third or a quarter.
Okay, so let's just run through a couple of some of those FMCG companies you folks track. Nestle turned in their results today. I'm yet to actually chew on those ones, on those numbers, and find out what investors might be reacting to in the days ahead. So you have Nestle, you have Guinness, you have Cadbury, Nigerian Brewery, and Dangote Sugar. Most of them for week on week, change. It's not so positive. Most of them are actually in negative territory. But your expectations now, with regards all of this that we've been looking at increase in sugar demand and the rest of it, how do you expect these companies to fare coming days?
So if you look at most of these FMCG companies, year to date, they've actually showed a steady decline. I believe this is mainly due to the general microeconomic headwind in the country, not necessarily. Even if commodity prices have to factor in, probably just a certain very little percent, about 10%. But generally, we know that the consumer spending is actually declining because we don't really have, consumers don't have as much money again, or they're probably trying to choose which is a necessity. For example, chocolate, we know the demand for chocolate is actually declining because people see it as luxury. So, okay, I have money, I want to buy something more important and leave chocolate consumption for another time.
Oh, well, mixed folks, mixed blessings for mixed folks, because for some of us, chocolate is a very essential commodity.
Exactly.
Well, Dada, thank you so much for coming in the program this morning. Of course, we're going to have you back here again on Thursday when we take a look at how the markets have fared in the last couple of hours.
Thank you, Harriet.
Ada Konobi is research analyst with financial derivatives company. Folks who send in every other day, send in what the markets are looking like, especially the oil and agri commodities as they concern Nigeria as well. But Business Morning continues in just a moment. You stay with us.